Back once again, ready for the start of a new season. Been waiting for this for what seems like forever. British winters are brutal, but we're almost past it. We're not 100% ready at the moment for everything. Bear in mind at this time of year you can start sowing seeds, but you need to pick the right varieties. Don't even think about starting off tomatoes and cucumbers and even French beans. They're just not cold hardy enough. So save them for a bit later. I would say around late April to early May. But we have got some things that we can start off. And strangely enough, one of those things is definitely not cold hardy. But because they need such a long growing season to see anything from them, you need to get them started off anyway. But these are for starting off indoors only. And that is your chilies and your peppers. And we've got saved seeds from last year. Those ones, sweet bell peppers. We got quite a lot of seeds. And then we had those mohawks, and those was the yellow sweet peppers. So again, we saved quite a lot of seeds. So we don't have to buy any seeds to grow as peppers this year. Something else that you can start off is peas, because peas are very cold hardy. And we've got quite a lot again from last year, and they're still in date, so we'll be doing some of those. And that is the variety that we're going to be growing. I might do a couple of different varieties of things this year as well. Another thing that's cold hardy, and you can definitely start off now, is lettuce. But at this time of year, pick the right variety. This one is called all year round. So you can basically sow these seeds all year long. So we're going to get a few of those going as well. And I've got a different variety, a salad as well. I'm going to have to try out some of those. But we have got a propagator. We don't have a greenhouse. But I'm going to put some of these in propagator. That will keep any frost off them if we get any. And we can get frost right up until mid-April in this area. So it's definitely worth checking yourself, because all areas have the last frost dates at different times. So we'll get some of those underway. We'll put those in propagator and see how they get on. Another thing that we normally start very early in year, but we haven't this time, is onions. And that's a variety that I'll be growing. I'm sure you've all tried those before. Onions are very cold hardy. So we're going to do some of those, but we're also going to start off some spring onions as well. And if you remember, a year or so ago, we grew some sweet red onions, and they were called Florence. And they grow quite tall and that wide. So you're not getting like a bulbing onion as such. They don't grow really big, which to me is great because they're amazing for salads especially. So that means that you can plant those onions closer together, making maximum use of what space you've got, because we are obviously doing container gardening, as are a few more. And then another thing that I'm going to be starting off is some spinach. It's very important, if you want to grow spinach, to start it off as early as possible, because spinach does not tolerate heat. It's perfectly fine in cooler temperatures, but as soon as we get to summer, you'd be lucky if you could actually grow any more, because it'll just bolt. So we're going to start a spinach off early as well. But it's not just these varieties that you can start off. You can also start off your brassicas as well. Once again, very cold hardy. So your cabbages, cauliflowers, Brussels, kale. You can start those off and put them in a propagator or in a greenhouse, or maybe on a windowsill indoors, just to protect them from any harsh frosts. But that's only a problem when they're little seedlings. And something else that's a big problem is if they're outside, the pigeons will eat them all. They won't last 5 minutes. So if you have got a sunny windowsill, pop them outside. And that's another problem that you're going to have at this time of year, the sunlight. So you're going to have to take advantage of this sun while it's here. Today is amazing outdoors. It's been sunny all day long, and it's not really cold either, which makes a change. So if you want to do some brassicas, you can start those off. I won't be doing any this year because we haven't really got the space to accommodate those. But there's lots and lots of things that you can grow, even if you've got a very small space. So there are first things that we're going to be doing. We'll grow the peppers and cucumbers and tomatoes a bit later in the year. There's no rush for those. Because apart from the fact that they're not cold, are they? If you grow them indoors, they'll grow really quick and they'll be too big before you know it. But also, because we haven't got enough sunlight at the moment, they might start to get leggy as well, and then you're going to end up with quite weak plants, which is another reason why we don't start growing them at the moment. So 2026, and we're starting already, and it's brilliant to get to a time of year where you know you can start off a few bits and bobs. It's great to be able to get back outdoors. We've had an horrendous winter. It's been really cold, it's been raining and blowing a gale pretty much every day. But the great thing about it is, once you get into spring and you start sowing your seeds, you'll see that the most recent that you've sowed will start to catch up with ones that you might have done earlier in the year. So it doesn't really matter about waiting until right up to May if you want to, when we've got a lot better weather. And if you're wondering where I am, I'm actually in the office at the moment on site, just while I go over a few bits and bobs. So we've got this compost. I had a couple of bags left over from last year, so we've already got an head start on that, and we'll get all that sieved as well, because when we put the seeds in, we don't want any stones or bits of wood, not while you're trying to grow your little seedlings. So if you're going to start off your plants, maybe sieve that compost first. So this is the beginning of this 2026 container garden, and we've got lots and lots of things that we're going to be doing as well. And this year I might try a few different varieties. It's something we like to do on this channel, just to see how they get on. Everything is going to be container growing as well, but because you can get dwarf varieties of quite a few different plants, we're still going to have plenty to do. And we'll do some more of those dwarf tomatoes. I think last year we did Tumbling Tom, but I might try some of those yellow ones as well this year. And I'm not 100% sure at the moment if I'm going to do a full-size tomato plant. And we did grow a couple of full-size tomato plants last year in containers of around this size. So probably about 30 litre, and we still got quite a few of them. But we did get overrun with cherry tomatoes. We had about 8 or 10 plants. And because we really like the cherry tomatoes, we preferred those to the big ones. As a result, you end up wasting things if you grow too many, and one cucumber plant as well, because the ones we were growing last year did yield a lot of fruit, more than we could eat. So we were giving away little bits and bobs like that to people on site. We'll also do some potatoes, but once again I'm just going to stick to second earlies. We did quite well out of those potato plants last year. They kept us going for a while, and we're still eating the onions that we harvested last August. So it's a priority thing for me. You can grow pretty much anything that you want if you've got an allotment or a big garden at home. But we're kind of restricted on what we can grow, so there's certain things we just don't bother with anymore. What we're trying to do this year is just narrow it down to the things that we eat the most of, because that makes more sense. Utilise that space that you've got as best you can. You don't want to be growing things that you're not too bothered about, when you could grow more of the things that you do. So this was his first video at season. There's going to be a lot more to come. We'll have a look through what different varieties of things we can grow this year, and maybe get a couple of extra structures to put around that caravan. And I'm sure that if last year's anything to go by, we're going to be harvesting lots and lots right up until October. Anyway, thank you again for being part of the channel. Fingers crossed we have another quite good year, because the one previous to last year was absolutely terrible, and I'm sure you remember that. So we're looking forward to spring and summer at the moment, and it is just round the corner. But bear in mind what I said at the beginning of this video. Don't jump in all guns blazing and just start sowing seeds for everything, because it's not going to do you any good in the long run. Stick to cold hardy varieties and things like your peppers and your chilies that you need to get underway, because sometimes they can take quite a while to germinate. They grow quite slow, and they need that long growing season. So that's my pick for the moment. But we have got a playlist that we made a couple of years ago, and it's sowing and growing month by month. So if you go to that playlist, you'll see what you can be sowing for every month a year. So that is it for this first video. Thank you so much for being part of this channel, and let's have an amazing growing season. And if you want to see more videos in future, then please hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.